My name is David and I am making content and videos that will help you to overcome your social anxiety. Someone to experience social anxiety himself, I wish that I had these videos so that I was able to overcome social anxiety years ago. I basically give you the lessons and everything that you need in order for you to overcome your social anxiety. So if you have social anxiety and if you want to be free from social anxiety, this is the channel for you. I went to Florida to visit a friend of mine and we're about to go to the museum. He said, just wait for me, bro. I'm gonna take a shower and get ready. So I was waiting for him in his room. I was sitting on his bed, so I grabbed my phone and I started to watch a YouTube video. I was watching a video about this guy that was talking about the power of negative thoughts and positive thoughts. And this video, this guy said something that really got my attention. He basically said, stop being so negative towards yourself. Stop putting so much pressure on you. You already made progress in that area of your life. You have a lot of wins that you could celebrate. As soon as he said that, I was like, wow, this is so true. I've been so negative on myself because of the shoots. I should not feel social anxiety. I should have approached that girl at the gym the other day. I shouldn't feel anxious and nervous around people. My friend is better at talking to people than I am. Sitting on his bed, I started to write my wins down and I started to celebrate my social wins. I thought about all of the moments that maybe I was nervous and I was anxious, but I had the balls to tell a joke. I started to think about the moments that I was super anxious to approach the girl, but I still went and approached her. And I started to think about all of the times that I made people laugh, that I was tell a joke, and I made connections with the strangers. And as soon as I did that, I was feeling accomplished. I was feeling good about myself. I was proud of myself because I applied compassion. So when my friend came into the room, he was like, dude, what's that big smile for? His friend was coming too, so we were on the car, but I was just talking, giving speeches. I was just being myself, making them laugh on our way to the museum. And also when we got into the museum, I was the one that went into the entrance guy, and I was the one that got the tickets. I was like, hey man, how you doing today? Good, man. I just need 3 tickets for me and my friends. I went into the bathroom and I was like, damn, I look good, man. I was feeling amazing. I even had some girls staring at me and looking at me on the hallway. So not only it was a great experience because of the museum, but also it was a great social experience just because I changed the way that I was talking to myself. There is 3 ways to deal with social anxiety. This takes practice and this takes time, but this will help you to overcome your social anxiety. Let me give you an example of a coach. Imagine that you are a father and your son is practicing karate. As soon as you got into the karate studio, you hear the coach instructing one of the little kids that he just started learning karate. There's 2 scenarios here. And coach, he sees this kid having a hard time, and the coach is like, you really suck, man. I don't even know why you keep trying. Here, let me show you. Let me show you one time. If you don't pay attention, I'm not gonna teach you again, okay? And then he shows the move to the little kid. But then we have Coach B. He sees the kid having a hard time trying to basically learn. The coach sees this and he's like, hey, nice try, buddy. Let me show you how to do it. I'll show you one more time, and if you want me to show you again, I can do it. He shows the move to the kid, and then the coach is like, there you go, buddy. Do it again. You got this. What coach will have more influence and more power to teach his students? Coach A or Coach B? Coach B, right? Obviously. This is super obvious, right? But the reality is, we tend to forget, or at least I do, beat ourselves up every time that we try to socialize with people. So for me, in my scenario before, it was either, bro, you suck at talking to people in the middle of any interaction. I would be like, dude, why did you say that? That was so dumb. That was so awkward. That was so stupid. Or it would be something like, why didn't you have that balls to approach her, bro? She was by herself. You're so weak and pathetic, right? It was either 2 of those scenarios. Now you can see those 2 scenarios sounds literally like Coach A, right? We are beating ourselves up. We are fucking judging ourselves all the time. Every small thing that we say, every small thing that we do is judged by ourselves. We literally sound like Coach A. As I ask you, which one do you think is gonna help the students the most? Listen, fair enough. We feel anxious. And fuck the shoots. Oh, I shouldn't feel like this. Well, you feel like that, and that's okay. But then what are you gonna do when you interact with people? Are you gonna keep beating yourself up? Are you gonna keep trying to find the evidence of why it wasn't good enough? Just like I was? And this is the mistake that we tend to make, because I noticed that when I give myself more room to fail, more room to try, just when I'm like, yeah, this is me. Yes, I was anxious this time, but that's okay, because I'm applying compassion. And the more that I do that, the more I'm able to have not just better interactions with people, not just being less anxious around people, but also I'm able to be like, oh shit, I can do it again. Because every time that you have an interaction with people, not only it feels fucked up because you were anxious and you are nervous, but also after that, you also beat yourself up. So this is why I started to do. Fair enough, I cannot control my body. It feels anxious, it feels nervous, right? But what I can control is how I act towards myself, how I talk towards myself. And that's where I have power, and that's giving more power as well. And I remember that this time I went out to the club to watch a soccer game, and I was basically at the bar with a friend of mine, and there was two girls in front of us. So I told him, hey bro, let's go and approach these two girls that are sitting in front of us. We approached them, so I went first and grabbed the girl that was sitting on the left side, and he grabbed the girl that was sitting on the right side. We were talking there, right? I was talking to this girl, but I didn't feel the connection. And then I started talking to my friend and her friend, and we basically started talking more like a group chat, right? The girl that was next to me, he was like, yeah, he's just talking about marketing. Basically, that means that she's bored, right? And it was crazy for me because before, like, oh my god, you see, I suck at talking to people, you're not good at interacting with anyone, people can tell. I was like, fair enough, yeah, she's bored, but like, I honestly don't really feel the connection with this girl. Of course she's gonna be bored because I don't really feel the connection with this girl. She believed in like weird things like incarnation and all of that, conspiracy, and I was like, I don't really like. So instead of blaming myself and beating myself up, I had compassion with myself, and I was like, of course I'm gonna be at work, of course I don't have anything interesting to say, not because, oh, I suck at talking to people, but it's because this person, she's not really that interesting, or we don't really have this connection of like, oh yeah, like we can be talking about 24/7, right? Like I was like, like, you know, I'm not really interested to this person anyway, so why am I gonna beat myself up for this, right? I had compassion, and I was like, yeah, I might be boring to you, but like honestly, like there's no connection here, right? So this self-compassion to always celebrate those small wins, because right there, yeah, fair enough, maybe I didn't have a good compassion with her, maybe she was bored, but at least I had the balls to be like, yo dude, let's go and approach these two girls. I had the balls to do that, and years ago, maybe months ago, I was not able to do that, right? So that's something that I was like, damn, I celebrated my win. So never beat yourself up, and this is something that I learned. But this sounds gay, but when I say compassion, I don't mean that, oh yeah man, it's you know, it's okay to watch porn. I'm trying to be like Coach P. Instead of, yeah, maybe this wasn't good enough, but next time you'll do better. Oh yeah, I feel like I could have done better, but these are the things that I did right. And the more that I focus on that, the more I like, okay, I can do this, right? Because I'm applying self-compassion. And this has helped me to be less anxious around people. That was the first one, is self-compassion. The more that you practice self-compassion, the more that you celebrate the small wins, the more that you're able to see not only your mistakes, but the things that you've done right, the more that you'll be like, oh shit, I can actually do it again. I can actually try. The second thing that I want to say is I went out on a date, and I basically met this girl when I was a freshman in high school. She had a crush on me when I was in high school, but I never had the balls to approach her or being like, hey, what's up? Because of my social anxiety, right? So I would always like see her on the hallways, and I would like always try to like flee from her because she liked me, and I kind of liked her back, but I didn't have the balls to approach her because I thought that I had nothing interesting to say, or she was gonna reject me. So 5 years later, when I broke up with my girlfriend, I was like, hey, let me text this girl. I remember that she had a crush on me, and she was cute. So I have not seen this girl for like 5 years, right? So we started texting, and basically I was like, hey, I want to take you out, and I want to go on a date with you, right? We got into a Mexican restaurant. I chose the restaurant, so it was a Mexican restaurant, and we started chatting about life. We started talking about how she's doing now and all of that. But in my brain and in my mind, I was talking to her, when I was talking to her, I had these things in my head. She's super bored right now. Oh my god, why did you say that? That was not good enough. Your tone was really inadequate. She's thinking that you're weird. Nah, bro. At this point, just go home. This day was terrible. We had our meal, I paid and everything, and I dropped her off and everything, and I was like, oh my god, man, I am terrible at talking to people. She probably doesn't like me anymore, and I will keep texting her because what's the point? The next morning, I grabbed my phone and I woke up to a message. It was a message from her. The message said, "Hey David, thank you for taking me out yesterday. I felt a chemical connection, and I really think you are a funny and super interesting guy. I hope you have a nice day." When she said that, I was like, bro, what the fuck? What? I am interesting? Well, that's weird. I guess I am. All of these negative statements and all of these negative things were coming from something called inner critic. I like to call it the devil's voice. Like, this is something that if you have social anxiety, you have it too. She's super bored right now. All of this was first thing first, they were false and they were fucking lies that my inner critic was telling me. So basically, you probably have had this more than once in your life. And realizing this helped me a lot to be more myself and be less anxious around people. Because every time that I would talk to people, that when I would make a joke or say something about myself, I would always feel judged or inferior to other people. If I would tell a joke, that person is thinking that you're a fucking weirdo. But that wasn't the case. Because this voice would say something like, oh my god, that was awkward, or oh my god, this person thinks that you're boring. But that's actually fake. And I would believe them. Right? I would believe them for my entire life. I would believe that all of these statements are true. Oh yeah, he doesn't like me because I'm a loser piece of shit. No one likes me. Yeah. Basically, everything that I say, everything that I do is not good enough, dumb, stupid, awkward, or just inadequate. Right? You can probably relate to this. So all of these statements feel super real to us. These things, just like imagine if you say, oh, eyes are brown, it feels the same. She's thinking that you're weird. It feels as if it's a fact. It feels as if this is actually true. The reality is that 90%, or I would say maybe 100% of the time, people are not thinking the things that you are hearing in your mind. 90% of the time, people are not thinking that you are anxious. People cannot even tell that you're anxious most of the time. Everything is in your mind. I didn't know that this was coming from the inner critic, from something that is not coming from me, from something that is not coming from them. Once I started to practice and work on this is when I'm like, holy shit, I am not the person that I think I am. They're not thinking that I am this, that I am boring. They cannot see that I am anxious when I talk to them. I had a bunch of moments where people are like, dude, you're so confident on talking to people. Or when I'm like, yeah, I have social anxiety. You don't have social anxiety. What are you talking about? Because people cannot tell that you are anxious. People cannot tell when I'm anxious. Well, sometimes they do, but like 90% of the time, they cannot tell. They can't tell. It's just your mind telling you. They can see that you're awkward. They can see you're anxious. They can see that you're shaking. They can tell you're nervous on your tone. It's actually fucking false. People cannot tell that. It's just your mind. So this has helped me to be free and to be less anxious. So the first thing that I did to be free from this voice was to be aware of this voice. This voice is basically trying to protect us from making a fool of ourselves. It's trying to protect us from being rejected. It's trying to protect us from being abandoned by the girl or the guys, right? So that's why it tells you, don't approach her, she's out of your league, because it's protecting you from being rejected. When you're trying to make a joke, don't tell a joke, you're gonna make a fool of yourself. It's this voice protecting you. But the problem is that this voice is trying to protect you, just like the coach A, the example that I gave you earlier, is trying to help you to improve, right? It can't. It doesn't know how. It's so stupid that it doesn't know how to basically help you. It doesn't know how to protect you, because maybe she's gonna reject you because because maybe she just broke up with her boyfriend, which is something more realistic. Rather, what this voice tells you is she's gonna reject you because you fucking suck and you're a loser. Right? It's so negative. So this is the first thing that helped me. It's like realizing that every time that you hear any of this, realizing that it's the inner critic speaking to you. So every time that I go out, every time that I'm talking to someone, when I am approaching someone, and I see all of these negative statements in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm watching a movie. So rather than, oh yeah, this is true, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching that the Green Goblin is telling me this. Oh yeah, it's the Green Goblin talking right now. Right? So rather than leaving the movie, I'm watching the movie. I'm watching my thoughts. And not only that, but I also confronted. The first one is soften the statements, right? Notice how this mind always tells you, always, nothing, no one, everyone, always, right? It's never some people think that you're awkward. Sometimes you run out of things to say. Rather than be more realistic. You're always boring. Not all the times. I made some people laugh. Of course I'm gonna be boring to some people. I don't even know them and they seem a little close, right? But for some people, when I am alone with some people, when I know them, when they are open to me, I am funny and I make them laugh. Right? I'm just gonna do two. You have nothing to offer to anyone and everyone, of course. I have my own values. I have my own passion, my own hobbies. I'm not gonna be interesting to everyone, and not everyone is interesting to everyone. Of course, I'm not gonna be interesting, and I have nothing to offer to some people. You get the point, right? You always gotta soften the statements and count the type of people that actually find you attractive, that actually find you funny. I literally have that thing, right? I like to make, like I said, a list of my social wins. Oh, that girl at the mall was staring at me, and I was thinking, oh, I'm ugly, but she was actually staring at me. Wow, I heard that this guy said this about me, that I'm super cool. I'm gonna write that down, because now you have evidence that it's like. The second thing is the awareness log. So you're gonna write down a situation. You'll be surprised. So this girl came up to you, and she approached you, right? She just asked you a simple question, and she's really cute. Or you approach her, whatever the case is. That's right out of the situation. I approached this girl at the grocery store. Automatic thoughts that this voice was telling you. I went to a wedding. I was feeling tense. I was feeling my heart was racing. That was the situation. I was at the wedding, and some people that knew me were there, right? So everyone is thinking that I look stupid, dumb, ridiculous. Realistically speaking, and be like, not with fucking affirmations, not with fucking being positive, but just being realistic for 1 second. What is the truth about these statements? Everyone is thinking that I look stupid, dumb, ridiculous. That means that I am more important than the person that is getting married, right? It's dumb. It's false. It's a lie. No one was thinking that about me, right? No one came up to me and be like, dude, you look bad, right? In fact, I was actually looking fresh. I was actually looking good. I actually liked the way that I was looking. People that know you are thinking that you are a failure, and there was more guys my age, and everyone is ahead of you. So basically, do that, and everyone is gonna see that I am a loser. Everyone, who will, and what are the odds that those people will notice that? What's the worst case scenario that will happen, and how could you cope? And this is what I love, because when I think about how could I cope, I realize that I will be able to handle everything that happens, everything. What is the worst case scenario that can help me, that will destroy me? Literally nothing. Because I and you probably can relate to this. I went through hell myself. I had a bunch of rejections. I had a bunch of people that treated me like shit. I suffered from bullying. So how could I cope? If this thing that is in my brain happens, how could I cope? When you ask yourself this question, you will realize that you will be able to handle anything. Literally anything. So why would you be afraid of the worst case scenario that can happen if you can handle anything and everything? The girl reject you. Yeah, I got a bunch of rejections in the past. Oh, this guy thinks that you're a weirdo. Oh, I had a bunch of people that thought that I'm a weirdo in the past. So how could you cope? Right? And even if this happens, yeah, this girl rejected me, but yesterday I had a girl looking at me. Like, why is this gonna destroy me? Everyone is gonna see that you are being embarrassed. Oh really? Everyone? Who? 3 people that know me? And what are the odds that this is gonna happen? 20%? There's nothing to be afraid of. So that's the first one. It's self-compassion, confront the devil's voice, and the last one is Notice how the first ones, it will help you to basically warm yourself up. Will help you to change what is going on in your brain. First, you start to treat yourself different, talk to yourself different, and the second one is you face the devil's voice. And the last thing is go out to a real world, right? This will prepare you and get you ready, quote unquote, get you ready, but you will never feel ready. The reality is that you will never feel ready, and there's this thing that I really love that one of my mentors said, which is let your confidence catch up. Approach the girl and it's like, oh no, but for first I need to be confident. No, actually comes first, then confidence. That's it. Oh, but I'm not really good at it. Yes, you're gonna suck. I sucked a bunch of times, right? And even to this day, maybe I'm not having a good time, and maybe I can feel anxious. I'm gonna suck, but that's okay, because I'm taking action anyway. And even if I'm able to break through, and even if I'm able to reverse it, I'm able to be collecting evidence, and I put it on my notes. The social wins. Adriana, I approached Adriana and I got her phone number, and she was smiling like Flory. I got an evidence that I can do it again. I made this guy laugh, and I didn't even know him. I had the balls to tell the joke. I'm able to build the evidence. So let your confidence catch up. You don't need to, oh, I need to read more books. This is the mistake that I used to make years ago. When I would see a pretty girl, I would be like, oh yeah, in the future, when I become more muscular, when I make more money, when I read more books, that's when I'm gonna be ready to approach her. 3 years later have passed, and I was in the same position. It wasn't until I'm like, okay, I'm gonna suck, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna try, and that's okay. It's just part of the process. But knowing that after a few rejections, there's gonna be a few yeses, and after a few rejections and going through the pain, I can get over it. And and I really like to use this. Is this? If I don't feel anxious on a daily basis, meaning maybe saying how are you to someone is not really anxious compared to having a deep conversation with someone. If that doesn't happen, if I don't feel anxiety, I know that I'm not doing things right, and I'm not pushing myself to the limits. I'm always looking for ways to make myself anxious, because the more that I am able to make myself anxious, and the more that I'm able to face my fears, and when I'm like, oh, two things happen. If my fear really comes true, meaning someone rejects me, I'm like, yeah, she said no, but yesterday I got someone that said yes. Oh, she said no, and that's not the big deal. I can just continue doing my workout. As simple as that. Or the second, if you're afraid of being rejected, actually the opposite happens. You approach a girl, you get the number, and you start texting her, and she becomes your girlfriend. That's how I see things now. It's like, I'm not afraid of the worst case scenario. I'm not afraid of fucking things up, because I will do it regardless. It's just a matter of you. And the more that you are able to do this, the more that you are able to turn your anxious brain into a healthy brain. If you apply these three things, this has been scientifically proven, you will be able to be less anxious around people. Just practice those three things, right? Self-compassion, confront the devil's voice, and go out more. And the more that you do it, the more that you are able to do that, and the more that you put yourself out there, you will be able to see how amazing, how beautiful people are. And you'll be like, oh shit, I really want to talk to people.